Alright, so we start off in early spring, and I got some free bricks, and it's on the road again. Now, that road took me quite a long time, and if you realize that every single stone is handpicked, that sure took a long time. Now, here we are at the backside of my cabin, house, whatever you want to call it. It's been pretty much neglected for the entire time I've been living there. Which is a shame because it's also my entrance. But yeah, no. Cleanup was long overdue. You should probably have some sand to level things out. The ground is not ideal, but the bricks were free and I was not about to spend money on those fiber cloths and all the stuff you actually should use when you're laying out pavement stones. But the ground is fairly rich in clay, so yeah, it was manageable. The dog you see in the background is Casper, my sister's dog. He came for a visit. I had him over that weekend. Oh, you can also see Ben on top of the chicken coop. Now, I'm not particularly original with my styling of pavement bricks. Also, you can tell that I sort of skimped out on the levelness towards the one side. But yeah, like now it's sweepable, which will make just keeping it sort of tidy so much easier. Now, I will probably continue this at some later point and continue around the corner, at least if I find more bricks. As you can see, the woodpeckers have been going at the boards on the side of the house. Should probably change those up, but yeah. It's sort of a process. So here you see me cutting down yet another tree that fell over in the storm. It's sort of in the way in order to get access with the excavator to the place I want to place the new septic tank. So we need to clean this up first. As you can see from the cross section of the logs laying there, there's quite a bit of hardwood. So these will probably make something nice. I don't know what yet. Currently they're just laying out there in the rain because I haven't moved them, because, well, this was before the excavator got bust. As you can see, the logs are starting to come together, and yeah, it's still a bit left, but we're getting close to the point where we can get the excavator down. And all in all, it's nice to just tidy things up a bit. It has been laying there all winter. Alright, so there's a new septic tank, and I'm working the excavator. So yeah, I dug down the excavator, and as you will see in a bit, I also hooked it up. But take note that I did not put on extended drainage line, so I'm sort of on a time crunch to fix my excavator. So just before the winter last year, I had one of those green fruit crates you've probably seen at the shops, full of potatoes. And then, yeah, so I had them stored down in the basement, and it was one day I was down looking for some potatoes, and I noticed there wasn't like chipped off sections. I was not really sure, like I was thinking maybe rats, but it could also be just like marks from when I dug them up, so I didn't think too much of it. However, a week later I came down again, and the crate that used to have a heap of potatoes, there were no heap. I went over to the crate, there was not a single potato left in the crate. Oh yeah, I shot a few rats with a soft gun that weekend. Exacted my revenge. But yeah, this year I said to myself, we are extending the potato field, and hopefully we will get more than enough potatoes so that even if the rats eat the crate, I still have potatoes. As you can see, I'm using the dozer blade to just try to level out the potato field. That has been a hassle the previous years, because when it's not straight, it's so much more difficult getting a plow to go straight. And yeah, continuing down, I think I almost doubled the size of the field. Sadly, I didn't have more than, because I only had 2 crates of potatoes from the last year, and when the rats ate them, well, I had to use the other one for planting. This lower section is quite full of boulders and stuff, and I want to move most of the boulders down and sort of, I don't know, wall off the field. The ground is actually quite poor. There's a decent amount of dirt, but it's, well, the pH is a bit low because it's in the middle of the woods, and it doesn't really drain that well. Or the other year it drained too much for some reason. It's one thing or the other. As you can see, we're sort of getting it straight. I will put a bit more work into it next year, but as you can see, we were already in spring, and I did kind of want to finish and get the potatoes in the ground so I could prioritize other things. Here you can see I have put down the pipe for the septic tank, and I'm just trying to make some kind of road section that can go across it at the lower end of the field, and then the road going back up to the cabin will go over the pipe, because that's not really usable for planting anymore. And then I also know where it is in case I have to dig it up again. Now I gotta say, mini excavator, so much fun. But man, these things have gotten pricey. I'm still sort of in the habit of looking up used excavators, and when I bought that one, it was about £6,000. And last time I checked, because recently someone was selling an exact same market model for about twice the price. So there came a bit more snow, but that's spring for you. Continuing on with my perpetual problem of never having enough drainage when digging up a drainage ditch. Also moving various logs around that I sort of just cut up and left lying. Because I was planning on adding, well, this extra section that you see me dig up. I wanted to extend the potato field all the way over there, and maybe also expand to something other than potatoes, maybe rutabaga and onions. But I have tried onions before. Like, I suffer from the problem of not having green thumbs, so the only thing that I can actually grow is potatoes. Everything else just, well, I put it in the ground and it die. Now here we can see how powerful these mini diggers actually are, because that is a huge boulder. But it's also at the very, very limit of what the excavator can handle. I tried to dig it up from above, but we did actually have to use gravity to our advantage and sort of pull it down from the underside. Well, now we're closing in on a point where everything goes to shit. So, yeah, excavator is a project of its own. I used the plow that you can see in one of my shorts to just plow up the field and get the potatoes going, because, yeah. There's also a short where I made inject the slide hammer for pulling out the injectors, because I didn't really understand how an injector motor worked, so I assumed the injector had gotten stuck open. And yeah, later on I realized that, oh, the return line was leaking right next to the air intake. But in the process of the runaway, I actually ended up destroying the injector pump.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, that was way too much work. So, can we figure out how this thing works?
Well, no. But I did fix the ATV. Though the method of starting it is a bit questionable. Also cut my hair. Watch the short for that.
I didn't fall all the way over because it's leaning on that one. So I'm thinking if we cut down that one, hopefully everything else goes as well.
Yeah, so this is also part of the trees that fell down over the winter. I had been putting them off because it seemed like a lot of work. And that's the problem with wind-fallen trees. They're sort of... if you cut down a tree properly, you are done in a day. If you are trying to cut down wind-fallen trees, you're probably stuck there for a week. Because you only do increments upon increments. And it's also threatening to destroy the stage. I suspect we could sort of slice this and pull the top over the top. And pull this one from underneath the big one.
And if we leave the root section as a counterweight on that one, it will pull the tree slightly upwards. And if we leave the thinner 3, we might be able to guide it. So I think we'll just put some tension up here, slice a wedge, and then pull it across. Try to get it on top of this one. Maybe we can just pull it straight out.
Oh yeah, in case you're wondering about the stage, so for the past, well, every year since I moved into the woods 5 years ago, we've had a sort of private festival among friends where friends, this band play. I will play myself occasionally, not to toot my own horn.
You just love it when you ignore your problems and they solve themselves. So here we can see it comes from all the way back there, and it goes all over across the stage. And I don't know, there's maybe like 80 centimeters between. So everything has worked out perfectly.
And the festival is closing up. It's actually tomorrow as I'm recording this. So yeah, had to get this done. Now I'm just pinching the tree down so that when I start cutting branches it won't fall back up. I'm pretty confident it's way down, but yeah, I'm not taking any chances. At least not when you're using a ladder. I can sort of envision myself being trebucheted along with a ladder.
So long-time viewers know that I sort of tend to quasi-finished projects, and this is certainly an example. Before even moving in, I went over to cut down this tree because it's fairly close to the cabin, and if I couldn't take down this one safely there, I wasn't really at a point to any of it. But I've sort of just left it lying, well, right there. Let's see if we can work it down.
So yeah, I'm sort of trying to find the sort of safe sections to cut it into pieces and move it down. But you can also see there's an apple tree to the left. I sort of want to save it. Oh, I can apparently whistle the logs apart now. No, it's actually just a visit from Casper the Friendly Doggo, who's a good boy. I actually sort of managed to save the apple tree. It has some significant damage, but we'll see next year. Maybe it's fine. It's not producing apples anyway.
Oh, but that's fine. That's fine. I just won't visit this section anyway. Oh my god, there's so many fucking mosquitoes. Ah!
So, another problem, during the winter, I ran out of hay for the chickens. Because usually I will just go outside and just pull some straight off the ground, because I have a slope where all the grass grows out, hangs over and dies. And I could usually just pull it. Also, I couldn't find a weed whacker, so now I'm scything along. But it's not the it's not long kind of scythe that's appropriate for this, so I figured, nope, we have to find the whacker. Did technically find one of the whackers, but it's the old electric one. And yeah, we fixed it on a live stream. But it was so useless that I was like, no, we're going to my dad to pick up the petrol-driven one. So, if you look down to the lower right,
Down she
you can
goes.
see a hose coming out. That is from my water pump. And there used to be a bottom check valve. So you can see there's no more check valve, and presumably it's down there somewhere. But clearly it's easier said than done. I do have 12 minutes of footage of me crawling around this thing, if anyone's interested.
Yeah, it's still right there.
Actually, also, when it first happened, I did crawl around it butt naked, but no success until.
Oh! Oh, fuck yeah!
But this is one of what you can do with a metal detector. So, as you can see, the water level's quite low. It's usually, about where I'm standing. Or where my knees are. So, but there's been quite a drought when this was filmed. I'm also extending the suction hose.
No. Mistakes were made. This one first.
Now I'm putting it on an L so that it has a better angle, so it couldn't go quite a bit deeper. And hopefully I will not be without water, as I have been every year since I moved into woods. At some point during the summer, there will be a drought. And there used to be a leak in the pond, but I fixed that. So.
Alright, moment of truth. Hey! Nice. Oh. heard you had a mosquito problem. Not anymore.
Oh, the hubris. I thought I was so smart putting on that mosquito hat. But I was wondering why I was still itchy as crap. Well, I got my answer when I sat down to have a short breather. As I was sitting there, looking at the mesh, when a mosquito landed on the mesh, shoved his wings through the mesh and went inside. And I was like, well, fuck this. Oh yeah, excavator still bust. So you gotta carry stuff by hand, and the electric wheelbarrow doesn't really like carrying long things. Now, in typical fashion for my channel, I'm working blind. The only thing I knew for certain at that point was that I am going to make some kind of roof that I can put firewood into. Because last year I ran out, and that's not happening this year. Oh, it was so cold. And it's so annoying if you have to go out, chop up wood, and when you're in that cycle, it's so cold, like, you're not gonna bother doing more than, well, just a few days worth of wood, and then you go back inside, and a few days later, rinse and repeat. And that was like the entirety of, well, I would say February. It's all sort of relative measurements. I tend to enjoy working with the sort of irregularities, so I don't really use a ruler all that much, only when necessary. I will use the level quite a lot, but even then it's sort of eyeballing, because you see the pillars I'm setting up right now, they're not straight, they're irregular, they're bulgy. But you sort of eyeball through the center line and hold up a level or a plumb. I'm just setting up some support to hold it up. And doing the same for the other side. The planks you see are scraps from the lean-to that got destroyed in winter. The supports you see here are just temporary. We sort of need to get everything in place, and then you can sort of work around it. Because that's the way it goes when you plan absolutely nothing. This one is also just support, and that one is also just support. But there you see me coming in with a level, and that's the sort of way I work around unevenness of the ground and stuff like that. Oh, the mosquitoes. Oh, hate them. Absolutely hate them. Don't see the point. Like, not all mosquitoes bite. I should preface this. So I actually just hate the ones that bite. We don't need them. Like, we eradicated smallpox. Why can't we also eradicate the biting mosquitoes? I don't think it would be that hard either. No, I'm not a biologist, but I've always figured like I think they call it the Casanova mosquito. So you genetically engineer a mosquito that is sort of irresistible to the females, but he also has a genetic defect that will make his offcom sterile in one or two generations, and that will be selective for one particular species, and all the mosquitoes that don't bite, well, they get to stay. Here you can see me trying to figure out a simpler way than making a joint, which would be French wood screws. I kept telling myself the entire project, like, don't put too much effort into this. This is a storage for firewood. Now, this is not the way they will be mounted. I just have to measure up so I get the distance between the joining sections. Yeah, all the materials I have is scrap from. Well, I think pretty much everything is from lean-to except the pillars. Which itself was cut up on the sawmill a few years ago. Starting to get things out of the way, just winching them, using the ATV. Because, well, still no excavator. Now I do tend to prefer not using brackets. I always think it's a bit cheaty, and I honestly think they look shit. But sometimes it's so practical that, because like you see me using a bracket to attach the beam to the column, and like, if I were to make a joint into the wood, we would sort of damage the integrity of the column itself. So, yeah, sometimes you go the easy route. Now here I'm just laying out some boards. Well, technically not for sleeping on, but it was a nice little nap. But it's mostly for storage. I want to use this thing as firewood storage, as well as a place to keep chainsaws and, well, general lumberjack equipment. It's funny, I always use the outermost cut from the sawmill, like the sort of, some might even call it the waste boards, but my threshold for using them is so much lower than boards that have been actually cut into planks. So in everything I just end up using them instead, because, well, I gotta use them for something, why not this? And I always keep saving my boards, all the actual planks and beams and stuff like that, and stuff that has been actually dimensioned. This palette is actually the only thing that I haven't cut myself on this project. When the company that cut down all the trees on the property next to me, one of the claws got broken and the new one was delivered on that pallet. And so, well, they just left it there, so I went along and grabbed it. And it's been nice. It's quite a nice pallet, but it's quite heavy. So the plan is to just make a kind of platform where I can put the cleaver. And I want to raise it quite a bit, because I noticed that when you keep cleaving, you are splitting bark off the logs, and all that bark falls down. And, well, it's quite useful. I've been throwing it on my potatoes. So the plan was sort of, if I could get it raised enough to get a shovel beneath it, or a rake or something, it would be much easier to collect it, and yeah, sort of get a more streamlined process for that. It's incredible what you can eyeball, or maybe can't, but also good enough.
Let's see. How does this feel? Oh, that's a sturdy as fuck. I like it. Let's see. So maybe put this.
And I was just cutting out a section to fit the raft. ignore the gap, but I think we're pretty far along. And it's sort of just putting out some scrap boards just to raise the firewood a bit off the ground. But before we can do that, we need to fix the flat. Yeah, it didn't go all the way down, so we didn't damage anything. Now, this is the biggest caveat with an electric wheelbarrow, at least as far as I've had it. The friction between the hubs and the tire is not great enough to overcome the torque of the motor. So guess what happens about 3 times a year? When the wheel gets stuck, the motor just keeps going and pulls the hub along, and the valve sticking out of the hub, well, a valve no more. I'm not filling it entirely, it's just so it fits better inside of the tire. And then we mount it all together and then actually fill it. I think this is next morning or late in the evening, I can't remember. And we're off to find some firewood. And conveniently, I've left a bunch of logs laying around everywhere. Because whenever I'm sort of cleaning up something, I sort of just, well, leave it. But today we're actually collecting them. And storing them safe and dry. But we also need to tidy up the path up to the storage. Yeah. Would be nice to have the excavator, just saying. Yeah. Haven't actually gotten to use it yet, but it did seem like quite a nice chopping block.
Nice.
We'll split those larger ones sometime in the winter. But yeah, same with the other ones as well. I'm storing them whole. And when there's nothing to do this winter, we're chopping wood. We won't actually finish the stack today, but it was finished during one of the live streams. And I want to keep the video beneath an hour, so for now this is it. But there's probably another one coming, I don't know, in about a month. But until then, thanks for watching.